Welcome back to She's Got Game. On this week's episode, I'm sitting down with freediving world champion Maria Bobela. We talk all about her journey into the sport and what it takes to stay so calm and confident when diving the depths of the ocean on a single breath. I find her mindset incredibly fascinating and I hope you do too. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Maria Bobela, welcome to She's Got Game. Thank you so much for joining me. If you could dive anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Oh, wow. I love those tough first questions. There's so many beautiful places in the world when it comes to diving, but I think if I could choose one right now, I would go for either Baja California because of the beautiful big animals such as whale sharks, or to Mauritius for the similar reasons.
What are some of the most amazing animals that you have dived with?
I've seen sharks, different types. I am respecting them a lot. I wouldn't say I feel very comfortable in their surrounding. I've been diving with dolphins, a lot of beautiful exotic fish, turtle. So yeah.
Sharks would freak me out. I have a friend who does a lot of scuba diving and she's recently been in the Maldives and she's been diving with sharks and she was showing me videos and I was like, it's amazing, but you're crazy. Like, I could
Well,
not do that. I would freak. But I think it's like, if you can stay calm, what an incredible experience. But I'd be like, get me out. I'm tapping out. I'm not doing this. Do you prefer diving with fins or no fins?
I think it depends on the kind of diving. If I am competing, I would say I prefer no fins discipline. There are two no fins disciplines in competitive freediving out of four, which are my favorites. Although when I'm just fun diving, I really like to have my fins on because it's, a gear that allows me to go a little bit deeper and see a little bit more within that short time I have underwater.
Can you explain for our listeners the difference between the disciplines of freediving?
Yeah, of course. So in competitive freediving, depth freediving, we have four disciplines. Let's start with first one, my favorite, which is called CNF. It's abbreviation of constant weight no fins. And this is the most difficult one when you descend, just swimming down like a frog style, using only the power of your muscles. And you have to ascend the same way. You cannot help yourself, assist yourself with the rope that you are swimming along. The second one, second favorite of mine, is called free immersion. And it's kind of an underwater climbing, I would say. So you have a rope that you are just pulling with your hands, and you also have no propulsion gear or on your legs, such as monofin or bifins. The third one is constant weight bifins, and it's the discipline where you swim down and swim up with using your two fins. So it's mostly leg workout. And then the fourth one, it's constant weight, where you swim with one big monofin, where two of your legs are connected together. Similarly as with the bifins, here it's just the change of your gear on your legs.
So that almost looks like a mermaid.
Yeah,
They're both
kind of.
using the same
Yes.
thing. What would you say has been your most surreal underwater moment so far?
I think seeing those animals underwater has been pretty magical, especially when they're big. You don't expect such a big thing swimming up towards you. So it's something completely surreal. But also, first deeper dives were pretty surreal for me because you kind of are aware that you are that deep, and although you don't feel any different, let's say I don't feel any physical difference on 80 meters or 90 meters comparing to 10 meters underwater, but just acknowledging that I'm there, it's pretty like wow. It's cool. I can reach here with my human abilities.
It's insane. Do you remember how it felt the first time you hit a depth like that?
As I said, like on a physical level, it doesn't feel any different apart of the fact that you just need to learn very technically how to properly equalize to that particular depth. But I was happy, it was kind of a challenge for me to get to those depths. And when I went there, I was proud because it was just consistency and training brought me there, nothing else.
It's so cool. I mean, I think of all the sports, it is one of the most extreme, but also so peaceful. Like, even to watch it, it's really peaceful. I remember watching the documentary on it on Netflix and being like, wow, like, imagine being able to experience that. It would be so cool. Do you have any superstitions that you secretly follow before you dive?
I have my specific breathing routine. I have a routine of stretching my lungs and chest area, but it's kind of short warm up. I'm not one of those people who like those very very long warm ups. Which I don't want to say it's wrong, but I just get maybe a little bit impatient with those. So I have like very very short routine that kind of sets me in the mode for free diving.
What is the last thing you usually think about before you dive?
I kind of learned to go to that empty space that I really do not think much of anything. I just concentrate of my breathing cycle. I can even feel my heartbeats. I just zone out completely.
How did you get yourself to be able to do that? Because I think that's a really difficult place for a lot of people to get to.
It's been a practice, practice,
Mm.
practice, practice. And to be very honest with you, water is the only environment that I can actually very consciously do that. When I have very stressful situation, let's say on land, it's very
Mm.
difficult for me to follow up with that. So I think that water element adds to that kind of calmness.
That's
Yeah.
so interesting being able to do that in the water, but not on land. Because I was going to ask how any of the skills that you've developed from free diving have then translated over into your everyday life. How do you think it has impacted life on land?
I generally am a very chaotic person, and I think I used to be even way more chaotic than I am right now. So I think I calmed down a little bit. I think I receive things better. I used to be like very reactive, impulsive, which I still am, but it's more controlled, I would say. I think freediving gives you the kind of control over your emotions because there are many of those when you are diving, especially at the beginning of your path.
What's one thing about free diving you wish more people understood?
Um, if we're speaking of people who's never experienced that, I wish freediving wasn't considered a deadly extreme sport because it's not. It's actually a very friendly sport that allows every human explore it in a way, experience it. But I think there is some kind of mystical, very dangerous legend around, around the sport, and I wish it kind of vanished because it's really a beautiful thing to be there underwater with only the power of your breath hold. And I also wish that people would believe in themselves a little bit more when it comes to their underwater abilities, because each of us actually have some specific reactions that are happening with our body underwater that most of the people are not really aware of. So
It's interesting, is it? Because I think we spoke about this before about the Netflix documentary. What's it called? The Deepest Breath? Is that what it's called?
yes,
And
yes.
we were saying last time we spoke about this that actually it for a lot of people, it probably scared them quite a lot because of the ending. But actually, that's not the reality of the sport. Every time you dive, that's not really what you're experiencing. It is a really beautiful experience. So it's interesting hearing you say that because I think there probably is a lot of fear around it because it's not our natural habitat as humans.
Well, actually, yeah, speaking of the Netflix documentary, I think the story itself is a very beautiful one, although I
Mm.
don't think it did a great job when it comes to promoting freediving among people who's never experienced that. The story is beautiful, right? I would rather say that it's a personal story of two people that doesn't really say much about recreational freediving. And when it comes to water being not human habitat, I wouldn't agree with that fully, because we are mammals. And every mammal has something that is called mammalian dive reflex. So there, as I just mentioned before, there is some reactions that are happening with human body, with mammal's body, along the descent. Are a few of those reactions, and I think if it wasn't our habitat, we wouldn't have them.
That's fascinating. What is it that's going on during the descent that means that actually we do belong?
Okay, there are a few things that happen. So let's say the very first thing that happens is when we just touch the water face with the water. So just with the touch of the area of our eyes and the nose with the water, our heartbeat starts slowing down. And a lot of people do not know about that because a lot of people are scared of water. They start panicking, and something exactly opposite is happening. But if we allowed it, the heartbeat would naturally stop. Why? Because heart is a muscle. So the slower it beats, the less oxygen it consumes. That's the very first thing. We don't even need to descend. And when we are starting descending, when the pressure surrounding us is rising up, there is another thing that is happening that is called vasoconstriction, and the blood from our extremities starts going to the vital organs, heart, brain, chest. It's kind of like survival mode, So this thing allows our most important organs having the oxygen delivered. And there are more, but I think the most interesting thing that I got to know thanks to freediving that is happening with our body is that we are already a little bit deeper. There's something called blood shift. That's when lungs get very, very compressed and the bubbles within our lungs get filled with oh my god, I'm lacking the not the blood but with the plasma. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah,
I,
yeah. Got you. Got you.
why this happens, it's because if this wouldn't happen, our lungs would just collapse, and because of this reaction, it doesn't. It's like natural protection, like a kind of sponge that doesn't allow the walls of the lungs collapse. And this is super interesting because this is something that we only got to know in around 1980s. So it's very new knowledge. Before that, all the medics they believe that it's not possible for a human to dive below 50 meters, and now people dive way deeper, below 100 meters. So
Yeah. Insane. What is the deepest dive anyone has ever done across all disciplines? Do you know?
the official record is 136 meter by a man, and a female I think it's 123, but I am not 100% sure, but something around there. Yeah,
Wow. And for those listening, so when we're talking 123 meters, we mean 123 meters down and 123 meters back up, right?
exactly. All on one.
It's incredible. How did you first discover freediving?
Honestly, it was kind of a progressive thing because, first of all, I scuba dived. I always loved water. And around 10 years ago, I moved to India. I lived there for 5 years. While I was living there, I decided to just continue my water hobby in shape of scuba diving, and I was working as a dive master out there for 2 years. For 2 years, just over the weekends, it was just like more of a hobby rather than a way of earning money. And I remember after working for 2 years in the same place, it was just like diving factory, just having new people coming for this discovery scuba diving dive. I got a little bit bored. I was a little bit frustrated with having this like very, very heavy gear on, going to exactly the same places, going exactly the same routes. So I had that thought coming in my mind that it would be super cool to be able to go underwater without any gear. But that thought didn't really have a name. I didn't really know that there is anything such as freediving back then. And then I had a long, long break from scuba diving. I was really missing water. And when I came back to Poland just recently during coronavirus, happened that there was an object called Deep Spot. It's the deepest pool in whole Europe. It's 45 meters deep. It opened during coronavirus, and it was literally the only thing that worked throughout all this terrible lockdown that happened back then. I was like, okay, let me go and try it since there is an opportunity right now. So I did try it, and it was terrible.
I love this story.
Yes, it was absolutely terrible. That's when I actually realized I can consciously understood that I'm very, very tensed. Like by default, I'm a very tensed human on a muscular level, on a mental level, which I just wasn't aware of. So freediving was a great therapist in a way. I really got aware thanks to that. And later on, I didn't continue in that particular pool because I just didn't like it. And also because of coronavirus, it happened that I just wanted to take a breath, take a break, and I went to Egypt. There is a place called Dahab, which is considered a diving mecca, and I gave it a try again. I when I saw this beautiful blue of the Red Sea, I was like, okay, let me jump in the water and try it again. And I got it back. I understood that also that natural element of freediving is very important for me, that I don't really get that much out of it in the pool as I do in the lake or in the sea. It just gives me something different.
And when was it that you realized that freediving was something you wanted to pursue at an elite level?
Okay, there's another story. It's been very, very unpredictable in my case, which actually makes this story beautiful. So I didn't really take that decision very consciously. What happened? I went to Egypt for just 1 month, but just 1 week before I was supposed to go back to Poland, where I'm from, I rescued a dog. I found a dog in the sea, and it wasn't in a good condition. I have absolutely no idea what the dog was doing there. It was a half-year-old pup. So I brought it to the vet, and the vet told me that, sorry, but you cannot leave this dog here. We don't have the possibility to treat it continuously, so you can just bring it to us every day, but you need to bring it back home. And I was like, I cannot do it. I'm leaving in 5 or 6 days. So I actually sent some kind of blackmailing. It was like, either you take it or the dog is going to die. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I took the dog for. The idea was that I'm taking it for 1 week just to treat it, and then when I leave, just to let it out. And well, the dog is with me until now. It's been 4 years now. So
Wow.
the reason I stayed in Egypt, because I never came back, I stayed in Egypt for 2.5 years, was the dog. And since I stayed there, I was like, okay, there is nothing much I can do in this place apart of either freediving, either climbing, either kite surfing. And since I already caught the freediving bug, I was like, okay, let it be a freediving. Yeah. So I started getting better, 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 better. Yeah.
Did you ever imagine that you'd make it this far with the sport?
Absolutely not. But to be very honest with you, whenever I imagine something and whenever I set the goal and I'm like so goal oriented, it just doesn't happen for me.
Yeah.
But whenever I focus on the way and when I focus on today, on now, then it just suddenly pops out, So I think it's been a great lesson for me not to really put too much attention to that really unpredictable future, but to really focus on now and what I can do now to be better, to have a better life.
Yeah, it's so cool. I mean, we've spoken a lot about how much mental control freediving takes and how it's so important to stay calm. How do you stay so relaxed when you are diving the depths of the ocean?
Well, this also has been a practice. When I started, I've been very, very tense, mostly on a muscular level, which makes dive terrible. When the muscles are tense, the dive is absolutely terrible. And I was learning dive after dive after dive after dive to relax my muscles. And the funny thing is that, when I dove for the first, second, third time, I realized I don't understand what does that mean to relax muscles. Like I was lying down, I was like some Robocop, and I was like, yeah, but I'm relaxing, and I was not. I was tense like hell. So yeah, that has been very very interesting thing to actually consciously understand what does relaxing muscles mean.
So you said even with your first ever dive when you were back home that you realized you were so tense. Is this one of the most common things you see with people when they're first diving? Is that they struggle to relax?
No, not really. I mean, struggling to relax, yes, it's very common, but to be very honest with you, I think most common thing is the lack of mental relax.
Interesting.
Yeah, that muscular one I haven't seen among many of my students. There are some, but yeah, the mental, like emotional relaxing, it's something that I find people struggling with at the beginning of this path, and it's great because later when you see them crossing that border, let's say crossing that obstacle, it's really beautiful.
What advice would you have for people starting in the sport on how to help them relax mentally?
Well, I think people don't really understand the power of our breath, how important it is to learn to breathe properly. And yeah, this is insane. I actually think that a lot of people do not know how to breathe. And I think this might be one of the main causes of anxiety, of worries, and of the tension.
How do you see people breathing? Like, what is it that people are doing or could be doing better so that they can breathe properly? What is it that you're seeing where you're like, okay, let's change that slightly? This is creating anxiety or is causing you to feel panicked and overwhelmed. Whereas if we try and breathe like this, it will bring that sense of calm.
Okay, so speaking not only about freediving, I realized that a lot of people, when stressed, they start to hold their breath. They do like, and they stop, and they don't exhale. So, like exhaling is very very important thing. Like, look, when you do a sigh, like it makes you feel so good. Also, people tend to hyperventilate when they are stressed. So you increase your heartbeat. You do the opposite thing. You are ready to run. You don't relax. So I think understanding how to control it could already help us a lot with taking care of our mental health.
Yeah, it's so interesting. How would you say freediving has shaped your relationship with fear? Speaking of mental health.
It's very funny because I stopped fearing water, but I think it came with an experience. But I'll be very frank with you. I I think freediving gave me a lot of awareness when it comes to, in general, like a world, like seeing things good and bad as well. I think I used to be a very naive person, and that kind of awareness came with fears as well. So at the moment, I cannot really tell you how do I really deal with that. It's funny, in the water I deal perfectly. I know what I'm capable of. Although when it comes to the surface, let's say the real world, real human world, I think I gained something very very important, priceless. But I also think that kind of awareness comes with a lot of fears, as I said. So it's a new thing for me. I am in freediving since 4 years only, so it's been a big lesson and a big switch in my life.
And has there been moments where your mindset has made the difference between success and a quote unquote failure underwater?
Yeah, of course. I think this is something that has been happening to me recently because honestly, as I told you, I am pretty fresh in the sport. It's been just 4 years and just 3 years in the competition. So I only now reached the results. I mean, only like I reached the results that are global scale results last year, and now I feel the pressure, so now when I'm training and I'm not near my best results of last year, although the conditions I'm diving in are tremendously difficult, they are nothing compared to what I've been diving in last year. I already start self-sabotaging, I get angry on myself, etc. But kind of sport freediving is kind of brings me back to, hey, it's okay, this is your path now. Let's observe how it's gonna be later. So I think this is when I'm learning how to be kind with myself. It's challenging, yet very interesting route for me right now.
What makes conditions difficult in freediving?
Okay, so it's first time in my life I am freediving in the lake. I was supposed to go training different place in August, but I got to know there is a competition happening in Poland, and I have a chance to score some Polish records in the lake because there are two different rankings for the freshwater and the salty water. And I realized also that it might be an interesting experiment for me to learn to dive kind of again in these harsh conditions and then check how it's going to reflect on the World Championships in very easy conditions. Conditions are difficult because, well, it's pitch black. So apparently on 20 meters, you cannot even see your finger in front of your nose. And it goes down to 4 Celsius degrees on 15 meters. Yeah,
Wow, that's cold.
it's very difficult.
Can you talk us through the competition where you became world champion? What do you remember most vividly from that day?
Honestly, it's very funny what I'm going to say, but I absolutely had no clue, no idea that I could win that competition. I won in the CNF discipline, the one when you use the most difficult one. Well, maybe because I really didn't have much expectations towards myself. I just went there knowing how deep I can dive. I announced the depth that I knew I can dive was challenging for me, but I knew I could do. I did it. It was difficult dive for me. It didn't really go very, very well. But yeah, when I received the white card, which is an indicator of well completed dive, I was happy. I was happy, but I will be frank with you. I wasn't really like euphoric or anything like that. But I think it came with a big change in my thinking about my athlete career. It's because I remember when I did the first national record, I think 3 years ago, and I got this label. I was like a Polish champion, and I remember that I really, really started identifying myself with that kind of. And later on, I got another one, and another national record, and another, and another, and another, and another. In fact, I did 30 of them in my
My
3 years
God.
competing career. And
Wow.
to be very honest with you, when I got, I don't know, maybe 10th national record, I was like, I am the same human. I didn't that label that somebody that I actually stick to my forehead didn't change me as a human, and I actually do not want it to change me as a human, because you see a lot of people succeeding or suddenly earning a lot of money out of somewhere and completely changing to a different human, and I really didn't want it. I also understood that it's it drew attention to me, and suddenly people who maybe weren't my friends suddenly became very friendly with me. I didn't want that label to define me, because this is something temporary. Of course, it's lovely. It's a fantastic feeling to win something, especially if there is a hard work behind it. But I want to consider it as a part of my story. So it was a beautiful moment, but the life goes on.
How do you navigate the pressure and the expectation, and perhaps how people are treating you differently when you achieve a title like world champion? Like, how do you protect who you are and your mental health?
I get very stressed on those big competitions. It's honestly, it's a very difficult question for me. I kind of learned that I have that one chance, and I just switch off for my dive, and I'm like, either if I feel bad, if I feel nervous, if I don't know, if my throat hurts me, or yeah, if I have stomach infection or I don't know, whatever. I didn't sleep well. I know I have still just one chance. So I just try to navigate towards those thoughts. Okay, this is just my one chance. Let me try to perform it as consciously and best as I can. And I try to completely disconnect from the rest. And water really helps me with that.
And then you said, even though you won on such a high level, that actually you were still able to go, I'm still a human, I don't want to change. Was there ever a moment where winning on that level did change your perspective of yourself and the sport?
It definitely changed my perspective when it comes to sports, and unfortunately, it went not to the best direction because I just saw I saw the competition, and the thing is that when I was stepping in freediving, I thought of it as a very, very different sport from any other one, and I still think that way. I think I cannot think of any other sport when you actually have to relax, go to very smooth kind of thoughts just before your performance. I think most of the other disciplines are, hey, you need to hype yourself up. You need to just run in, I don't know, 30 seconds. So you increase your heartbeat, blah blah blah. So I think it's very opposite of most of the other sports that I could think of. And this was also my kind of understanding of freediving back then. And as I said, I still think it is that, but unfortunately, as I think in any other area of life, not only sport, I think the better you become, the more competitive and other people become with you. And funny thing is that before I've been into another sports, and I am a very competitive person when it comes. I used to play volleyball on a very high level when I was under my 20s, and I was very competitive. I hated losing, etc. But I don't know why with freediving I came with completely different approach. It was more of that individual sport where you focus only on your performance because, in freediving, if my only competitor dives to 100 meters tomorrow, but deepest I ever dove was 93 meters, I cannot just be like, okay, she's diving to 100, I'll dive to 101. I mean, it's impossible that I'll do that. It's a very progressive sport, and if you really do not focus on yourself, then I feel there is no much you can do in that area. So yeah, sorry, I kind of went to
I love a tangent. I'm all for a
sur-
tangent. Give me it all.
surrounding topics, but yeah. So this is maybe that thing that I really wish I didn't discover about it. But on the other thing, on the other way, I think it's like a human discovery because I think it's not sport related. I think it's everything related in our life. So it's also something that I need to become maybe neutral to because I will continue freediving. I will continue competing, but I'll definitely not compete with another people because I feel there is no competition with anyone in freediving. I think it's all only a very internal thing, and I think it discourages me what I said before about those rivalry in freediving, and also I think it can really disturb your progress when you focus on something like that.
What would you say? I mean, this sounds like you've navigated a few challenges in the sport, but has there been a specific challenge that has felt like such a setback at the time? And how has that shaped you moving forwards?
I have had a challenge when it comes to finding financial support for competing because freediving is apparently a very, very expensive sport. I have been self-supporting myself, and since it's a very niche sport, it's just difficult to find sponsors at this moment. So I have been connecting the 9 to 5 remote work with traveling and training, which hasn't been easy. And literally a couple of weeks ago, I took decision that I do not want to continue the corporate doings because it just doesn't work for me anymore. It doesn't support my free diving on an emotional, mental level. And this path has finished for me, and I decided to go a different way when it comes to my professional direction, which is going to include a little bit more of freediving, hopefully. This is right now something I'm working on. And meanwhile, I am still continuing freelancing as a graphic designer, but with smaller clients that are, I would say, more time flexible and location flexible, and the relation is more of a friendly thing.
First of all, huge congratulations, because that is a big leap, particularly when you're in a sport where the funding is not there in the way that it should be. But what can we do to help support freedivers more? What needs to be done so that you don't have to work another job alongside your elite level sport?
Well, at the moment, look, I don't want to whine, that oh my God, my life is so difficult, blah blah blah, because I've been having a really good life, and although it's not easy to connect those two, I've been doing that. I had a choice of just not freediving, so I think still it's okay. But something that definitely would help, I guess it's a long-term perspective, is spreading the word about freediving, because I really think that it's something that could be very beneficial for not only an athlete but a normal human who just wants to, I don't know, kind of maybe disconnect from very fast life or have a break. It's something that really brings you peace, and it's funny because people don't believe that until they try. So I'd love to encourage people to just give it a try, because a lot of people try expecting that it's the first and the last time, and they just never finish.
Yeah, they don't get to see what they're actually capable of doing. You
Yeah.
spoke a bit earlier about actually with your dive where you became world champion that it didn't go exactly how you would like it to. What is the difference between feeling like you've done a good dive? Like, what does success look like with free diving if you take away the white flag in comparison to a dive that, even though you've completed it, hasn't gone as well as you've wanted it to?
Look, you just can have a bad day, and the dive feels difficult because it's very, for me it's about relaxation. So sometimes I switch to the free fall mode, where free fall is when you apparently your lung capacity compresses to the point that you stop being buoyant, you start being negatively buoyant, so your body just starts dropping down, descending at its own without any work that you need to do. And this is apparently the nicest moment when it comes to freediving, when you're just free falling. But when you're free falling and you're just super tensed, then it's not really nice. And I realized that, I mean, I still can perform these dives, but sometimes I am so unfocused that I don't even realize that I'm so tensed. And it's so funny because it's so obvious when I say it here, while when you're underwater, you think a little bit differently, at least I do. Like some obvious things that I know I should remember of, they just slip off my mind like right away when I take a deep. So I really need to be very focused for a sake to perform a good dive. Yeah.
And when you've had a dive that perhaps hasn't gone to plan, how have you rebuilt your confidence afterwards?
Just diving, just repeating the dive and until I succeed. I haven't really had many times that I did a dive. Let's say I wanted to perform some dive on the competition. It didn't happen to me. And then I tried again and it didn't happen again. And then I tried again. Like it happened maybe twice to me in this kind of story that I tried to repeat something and it didn't work out, and it gets frustrating. But for me it's just a matter of a break sometimes. Sometimes when the more I want it, the more I feel I should step back. It's always playing with your ego and understanding, trying to balance between what you want and why you want it, and what you should actually do. I get greedy sometimes. I score something, I get some record or something, and I'm like, okay, I want to get to the next one, next one, next one, and suddenly you hit the wall. And sometimes I think you should tell yourself, okay, step back, take a breath, and let's try later.
It's that thing, isn't it, of taking a break almost before you need one. So giving yourself that rest before your body and your mind goes, you need it now. It's
Mm-hmm.
kind of preempting that. In a sport that's as niche as freediving, do you feel like there's any difference between men and women in the sport, or is it pretty equal?
When it comes to the numbers, I think it's really, really dominated by men. Definitely, I would say that. But honestly, no, I haven't really feel that it's man-dominated sport in an energy way because I think it's very finesse in a way. It's very subtle, like how we look underwater. Even you said, when I told you about monofin, you're like, oh, is this the one as where you look as a mermaid? It's interesting. It's men-dominated sport by numbers, but energy-wise, I wouldn't say that I really feel that. Yeah.
No, so you don't feel like you've had to navigate any challenges as a woman in the sport?
No, 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 no. And actually, since I said before, I was speaking about this rivalry and that kind of things that I didn't expect, that were maybe a challenge for me that I didn't like. But I also wanted to mention that a part of that, there are also beautiful people in the sport, and there is some kind of sense of a community. So no, I've never felt this would be any kind of a challenge.
And what advice would you give to perhaps young women if there aren't as many women in the sport, so maybe there are a few less female role models? What advice would you give to women who are looking to start with the sport, but they don't know where to start?
Again, I think it would be just kind of explaining the benefits of freediving when it comes to all the other area of life, that you learn how to relax, that you learn how to breathe. I also, it's very funny, but I've seen many girls coming to freediving just to model underwater, just to have those beautiful pictures. But I think it's beautiful. I mean, I don't judge, and I actually quite an opposite. I think it's absolutely great. I think it can be some kind of confidence buster for those who decide to take such a path in freediving, because there are many freedivers who dive to 5, 10, 15 meters, and it's absolutely beautiful because with those skills you can get awesome underwater pictures, but you can also go to nearly any country that offers beautiful coral reefs, beautiful underwater life, and you don't really need to dive deeper because most of the colors, most of the beautiful things are actually close to the surface. So, wow, again, I wondered, but what advice I could give? I don't know. There's so many. There's so many. There's so much beauty underwater. Honestly, I think I could speak here for an hour, trying to persuade, let's say, you to
Yeah.
to come
Maybe
underwater.
it's time. Yeah,
I
maybe
think
I
that
need to
it's
give it a
time now.
go. I think it's time.
Yeah.
What's something that now you've been through this path you wish you knew when you were first starting freediving yourself?
Well, I think I wish I saw more, like I was less naive maybe, but
Mm.
this is something that probably comes more from that competitive human experience rather than only freediving itself. And when it comes freediving only, then it will be more positive, I would say. I wish I was just more relaxed. I wish I had those skills that I have now, those tools to know how to calm myself down, that I understood the power of those little things that we all have in our body, such as just a simple breath in, breath out. Yeah.
Other than being able to stay super calm and relaxed, when you're done with freediving, what do you think is one element of it that will stay with you forever?
Honestly, I don't think once you started, I don't think you can be done with freediving ever. I think you are forever freediver. Definitely, I'm not going to compete forever. Freediving is such a sport that you can actually perform until a really late age. And just as an example, I can tell you I've been diving last year with a man of 84, and he's been doing really, really good numbers. So
That is so cool.
yes, yes. So as long as you don't really have any cardiological or pulmonological problems, you can do freediving even if you're 180 years old.
That is so cool. I didn't realize this. I didn't know that you could do it right up until that point.
Yeah.
That's amazing. What do you hope people take away from your story?
First of all, I hope they go to freediving gear shop, they buy themselves a freediving mask. They go freediving as soon as possible. Yeah, because I think for most of the people, it's going to be a really beautiful experience. And I wish everybody allowed themselves to try it. And another thing I'd like to maybe convey with the story is that believe in yourself, because there are such a twists, turns in lives that can really bring us to beautiful stories. So maybe believe in yourself and just focus on one step at a time.
I mean, we've touched on it briefly there in terms of being more relaxed and believing in yourself. But if you had one piece of advice for your younger self, what would it be?
To not worry as much as I did, as much as I do still, because I think the things always find their path.
You have been amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tess. It was wonderful speaking with you.